Hey guys, Josh Baldwin with Vegan Fit here. Today we're talking pull-ups. So I'm going to show you how to do the perfect form pull-ups and make sure you're getting the most out of them and the most in your back and the least in your arms. This is one of the most common problems with my clients. They have a really hard time getting that nice tight squeeze in the back, and they get way too much action in the arms. So I'll show you some kind of easy, simple tricks and techniques to make sure you get the perfect pull-ups. This is not a pull-up. Alright, so first off, I just want to show you guys a few reps of some strict form pull-ups. They're not going to be necessarily always perfect, but you get an idea of what I'm going for here. My back is very flexed at the top. I'm trying to squeeze as wide as I can and get that good tight pull in my upper back and try to get as little arms and biceps as I can here. Now let's look at a few reps here of some kind of sloppier pull-ups. Now these are not terrible looking pull-ups right here, but you kind of get the idea that I'm going away from the bar. Instead of squeezing straight up and squeezing my back up, I'm kind of pushing my body, pulling it around, using the arms a lot more than I should be using them. And this is not going to, result in you having, absolutely zero back action here, right? It's not like you're going to not feel anything in the back at all. But what you're not going to do is kind of maximize your rep to make sure you're getting the most out of that exercise. Also, let me make a quick note here. Otherwise, my girlfriend Jamie will be very upset with me. We had a little bit of a windstorm come through the other day and ripped up some stuff in the backyard here. So it looks like a trailer park right now. But that is a short-term thing, and we'll have that fixed as soon as possible. This is probably the most common looking form if you go to the gym, right? Most of the guys at the gym, they're doing this big swinging motion. They're not kipping like crazy, like I showed you in the first part there, but they're giving it some nice kind of kicking motion. They're swinging their body away from the bar. It's a little bit easier this way. So let's say you can do 10 really strict ones. Well, you're probably going to get 13 or 14 if you do them like this. You get that extra rep. Now, if you're doing some heavy weighted pull-ups, sure, you might get a little bit sloppy like this sometimes just to get that last rep in. But otherwise, try to keep them tight. Try to stay close to that bar the whole time. Here you can see one of the most common problems initially is that people tend to stand behind the bar, maybe 6 inches, maybe a foot, and they jump up from behind the bar. So what that's going to result in is this kind of swing, right? So we're not looking for that. So people go really far back, they jump, and then already before they've even started their first rep, they're at kind of a disadvantage, and they're going to cheat a little bit because that swinging motion is going to make it a lot harder to get a tight, strict pull-up because you're kind of flopping all over the place. So what you want to avoid is that swing entirely. So what we want to do is get right under the bar, arms straight up, and you see there's no body movement once I grab onto that bar. I'm not moving around. So I can stay nice and tight, flare my elbows out, and squeeze straight up. Nice and clean with no swinging. So let's look at this again. You see how I'm starting here from the side. And you see if I jump far back like that, it's really tough to kind of regain control. It might take me 3 or 4 seconds of hanging there or more just to kind of stabilize and stop that swinging motion. But if I can get right underneath of it and jump straight up, there's no body movement. I'm straight under the bar, and I can proceed with nice, tight, strict pull-ups. All right, so I've mentioned a couple times now about flaring your elbows out. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. Basically, if you keep your elbows in tight when you're doing a pull-up, what's going to happen is you're going to use a lot more bicep here and a little more forearm. But if we can flare the elbows wide, we can spread the back and get a good stretch and squeeze in the upper back. So what I want to show you here is even on an underhand pull-up, right? A lot of people on underhand pull-ups or chin-ups as people call them, what happens is you're going to want to use the bicep, right? You've got a big advantage on the underhand pull-up. You're going to be stronger on this exercise, most likely. But here's the key. If we can still keep the elbows wide, you can see the muscles in the back squeezing, compressing, contracting, and flexing, right? I'm trying to get my elbows as wide as I can. They're not going to be as wide as if I was doing an overhand pull-up, most likely, but I can get them pretty damn wide here. However, on the flip side of that, I'll show you what it looks like here. You can see if I keep them narrow, you don't see my back working a whole lot, right? You can see a little bit of action right outside the shoulder blades and a little bit of like lower to mid back working a little bit. I'm getting a ton less muscle action in that mid to upper back area. So we're going to miss out big time on that squeeze. You're going to miss out big time on getting that big upper back development, right? So this is the most common mistake here. Now, I'm not saying I never do these. Occasionally, if I really want to shoot for biceps, let's say I'm doing back and bicep day, and I've already done a lot of pull-ups or back exercises, sure, I'll go ahead and hit these, and I'll kind of go away from the bar, keep my elbows in, and you get a really good bicep pump from that. But in general, when people are on the pull-up bar, that's not what they're going for. So let's keep the elbows wide, flare out, squeeze up straight, not coming away from the bar. That's not what you want to do here. You want to keep the elbows wide and pull back, right? If you keep those elbows in, what's going to happen is you're going to pull away from the bar and you're going to get more of a bicep motion. So that's not really what we want when we're doing pull-ups. So let's talk about depth here and height, okay? This is one of the other problems I see in the gym all the time, and I'm sure you see it as well, and maybe you're doing it right now. That's okay. We can try to correct this here. So what we're going to shoot for here when you're watching me do these pull-ups is I'm going to be always kind of shooting for this 100% full dead hang, full release, squeezing up, getting my chin above the bar. Now, that doesn't mean you got to get it crazy high above the bar, but I also don't want you to get to the point where you're not getting the chin even near the bar. We're trying to get up tight and just kind of get the chin just over the bar here. Now, one thing is you'll see while I'm doing these, I have to kind of push my chin above the bar a little bit. And a lot of that's because I'm staying so far forward with my back squeeze and I'm not swinging from behind. If I were to just squeeze straight up with the form all the way up, I would probably end up hitting my chin or hitting my nose or something like that. So at the very, very end, I just kind of give it a little bit of a head nod to get my chin above the bar without smacking myself on the bar. So just make sure if you want to get the most lat development you can out of this, you want to get that full dead hang, that full release. It doesn't mean you have to hang out down there for long. I don't want you to do the pull-up and stop at the bottom for 3 seconds, right? It's totally unnecessary. But you want to go down at least 95% down, right? Squeeze straight up. No matter how tough it gets, keep that form. And obviously by the end, if you cannot get up anymore, then obviously you can't get your chin above the bar. But there's no reason to start doing shitty pull-ups and start going halfway down, halfway up if you're not even at failure yet. Let's talk about weighted pull-ups while we're watching these bad form pull-ups, okay? The reason I want to show it to you now is so you can see if your pull-ups look like this with weights on, you need to drop the weight, okay? I see it all the time in the gym where guys can barely do good pull-ups without the weights. They put on a shit ton of weight and then they do these ugly, sloppy, halfway up, halfway down pull-ups where they start to kip like crazy. Just take the weight off. Why don't you go ahead and work on perfecting your form on the pull-ups first? That's the most important thing. So, guys, that's the number one thing to take away from this is to just work on the form. Get good squeezes in the upper back. Try to keep strict form. Now, once you've mastered that, once you can get maybe 7 or 8 or 10 reps with that really strict form, then you can start working on getting some weight on there. And again, that doesn't mean that your weighted pull-ups are always going to be perfectly strict. Obviously, you start adding some serious weight, they might get a little bit sloppy. But if you understand and can control the pull-up, a bad rep here or there is not going to kill you. You just don't want an entire set of ugly pull-ups. And please, under no circumstances, ever, ever, ever take any advice on pull-ups from someone that does CrossFit. All right, guys, that's it for pull-ups for today. So hopefully this helps you get that perfect strict form on the pull-ups and not get those sloppy kipping pull-ups and all that crap. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Hopefully you liked the video. Hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys at the next Perfect Form exercise video.